evening, everyone. Today is Tuesday, August 29th, and the time is 6:30 p.m., and I'd like to call this meeting to order. First up on our agenda is the consent agenda, minutes from August 15th. Has everyone had a chance to look at them? Any questions or comments? If not, I'll take the motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from August 15th.
Have a
Second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Next is warrants 84, 3, 6, 9, 10, 12, and 13. They're going around for signature. Any questions or comments on those?
No.
Can I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept the warrants as written.
Can I have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Next up is visitors' comments. Any citizen wishing to speak before the committee must sign in with the administrative assistant prior to the opening of the regular session of the school committee. The visitor will identify themselves by name and address and shall speak for no longer than 3 minutes.
Thank you.
For anyone unable to sign in ahead of time, we ask that you clearly state your name and address so that this information can be included in the record for the meeting. Do we have any visitors? Seeing none, we will move along. Our student representative is unable to make it tonight, so hopefully she'll be able to make it next week. Moving right along, first up is the weight room.
Mr. Graney, who is one of our science teachers at the junior senior high school, has been working on building up the weight room at Granby Junior Senior High School. So he's going to share a little bit of information on like the work that's been done, his vision for the program, and just an opportunity for the committee to ask some questions. And then there is one potential minor shift to the budget, which is why I wanted to make sure that you had the information.
Okay.
So as of now, we've been working on the weight room for since about last spring. We got some rubber flooring in there. We got about a 25 by 25 foot space where we have squat racks, we have weights, we have barbells. We have everything that we need to get going. So we've already had kids in there all spring. We had kids coming in all summer. We have kids coming in now. I'm also teaching a exercise science class during the school day that has 22 kids in it. And what I'm trying to do here is get some additional funding. We've done fundraising. So far we haven't taken any money from the town of Granby. It's been either donated or through fundraising. But with some extra help, we could probably get some better equipment, be more outfit for more kids that are starting to come in, as well as for this class in the future years. So not only are we looking for like some sort of funding account or like a GoFundMe situation in addition to the fundraising, but also hoping to make either the club a stipend position or make it available for people to get paid to be in there after school. Because right now I'm doing it 3 days a week, but it's hard to get other teachers to go in, and I can't be in there more than that because we have obligations for kids that want to stay after school, other sports like unified basketball. So we're kind of hitting a wall, and the only way we can get over it is with the help of you guys here.
So we'll have the policy. I did put the policy for crowdsourcing. It's that section G personnel in tonight's folder. So obviously anything that we're doing for crowdsourcing, we would follow that. And as I read that, it really does give the ability of the superintendent to have that authority to approve the online fundraising. So I would work with Mr. Graney and Ms. Jordan and make sure any plan that we have, I would run it by our attorney before we move it forward. The purpose for this, of course, if you have other more general questions, I'm sure Mr. Graney would be happy to answer them, is Ms. Jordan has identified a stipend in the approved budget, which was intended to be for yoga before or after school, that hasn't gained any interest, that she would like to repurpose for what Mr. Graney was talking about, either funding a stipend or allowing if we could get teachers to oversee that space beyond their regular hours that they would get an hourly wage. So that would be the ask of the committee for tonight. Certainly, if you have questions or wanted to take some time before a vote, I know we have a couple meetings coming up, but that would be the real purpose. But we also felt like this is an opportunity to say, this is something that kind of started organically, started small. We have come to the committee before with some requests for donations that you guys have approved, and now I think it's one of those things where when you start, you don't know how quickly it might grow or how it might grow, and I think it's garnered some interest from students, and I think as evidenced by 22 people in Mr. Graney's class, students are showing an interest in this space, so I'd like to see what else we might be able to bring into it.
If I could too mention that it's, there's a lot of younger kids coming in, so it's not just, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, I'm seeing like 7th graders a lot of them coming in, so it's kind of the entire high school, junior, senior high school that are interested in it. And also, I was able to get some training this past summer on coaching in the weight room, and I'd like to, if we can get other teachers involved, also get some people trained in there, so not only are they just watching, but like this could be a program for all athletics, for every team that we have, for kids that are just generally interested in getting more physically fit. They have a place to go and get educated after school.
So that's one of the questions, is that if, would the people just watching, would they know what to do if kids are in there? I'm having trouble formulating, but you know what I'm trying to say. Like, if you've been trained as a coach and someone else coming in to watch the room when you're not there, would they be able to know what to do to be safe, to make sure the kids are safe? Or what does the coaching involve for the kids that are in there?
So right now we have never had anybody else in there.
Okay.
Mr. Kearns, Derek Kearns, if you guys know him, he's interested in popping in. He has background doing it himself, but not as a coach. But if we were to make this a program where we can get people in there, like the training that I got was through the funds that we have for getting like general education outside of here and then getting refunded.
So it's through like the collective bargaining agreement that there's a certain amount set aside for coaches or teachers to receive either graduate credits or training, and so they get reimbursed for that. They get a course approval before attending, like it's a request that gets approved. Once they show successful completion, they can get reimbursed for that up to a certain amount.
Right, so any teacher, correct me if I'm wrong, but any teacher in our school that would be willing to do this would also be able to do what I did, and I'd be able to walk them through the entire process. And I just think if this was like a little bit more, it's hard to get people in there for free, you know what I mean? And if they had an interest in it and they maybe got an hourly wage or something, it would get more people in, and we could open it every day and have what you're talking about, a safe space, informed coaches, and a real program like you'd see in a bigger school or in a college even.
Could it be added to Family ID as like a user fee spot?
We could. I think right now what we've been doing is offering it free of charge to students. It's not just student athletes, like Mr. Graney said, any student who's interested in working out with weights, doing this kind of work, it is available to them. I think ideally for now, I think while we're building it, we'd like to keep it free for students, but it could be something down the road that could have a user fee attached to it potentially. But I think as we get started, just real quick, I think Mr. Graney last summer, not this summer that is currently ending, last summer we talked a little bit about the enrichment program, and Mr. Graney had talked about running some sort of nutrition and weightlifting type exercise physiology course. And I think he found for some students the cost was prohibitive. And what he has said to me is saying, if we can make this affordable, if we can make this free to everybody for now, let's get as much interest as we can and see where we can take it from there.
And since we had that conversation, it's grown quite a bit. And I think that if we had kids coming in there more regularly, and it became a bigger program, teachers might want to get in there as well to coach, maybe for free. I don't know, but either way, there's basically half of the room right now is completely unused because we don't have the equipment for it. So this thing could grow twice the size within the year if we had the money to do so, So it's really just trying to get people on board and get the funds available to do this kind of thing.
So is tonight a presentation of the idea, or is there an outlay of how much money is required?
Just a presentation for more informational use, and again, like if we're gonna go crowdsourcing or funding, then we would have to follow what's in the policy. And I think that's part of what I would be looking for from Mr. Greeny or anybody saying, okay, what are our goals? Because in the policy, it's pretty clear that you have to outline those goals early on, so if you're reaching those goals, you're putting the funds to whatever that anticipated use was, and if you're not meeting that, you have to either make effort to return the funds, or find maybe the same thing at a cheaper price or whatever.
Nope, I'm pretty fired up about this. I think nutrition and fitness is something that's lifelong. If you instill it early enough, then they'll really be able to grow within it. Are you concerned about growth plate damage in the younger kids with lifting? Are you body weight exercises with them, or I don't want to see anybody little get hurt lifelong with heavy weights?
No, I'm not concerned. I would, just like anybody that would walk into the weight room if you're a beginner, I would treat you the same. There's not going to be anyone coming in that's in 6th grade just because of where we are. Right. But 7th through 12th, if someone came in, I'd be willing to get them to the point where they can do resistance training. And I say that because a couple reasons, but number one is the training that I went to was USA weightlifting. So it's the program that runs the Olympics. And not only do they teach kids at that age, but there's kids younger than that compete, like regionally here, because they have the correct form. They know what they're doing. They're not risking what you're talking about. Okay. As long as we can get kids in there doing what's considered to be proper form and having a supervised coach that can dictate what that is, I think we'll be fine, regardless of anybody's age over there.
So you have half the room full of weights?
Yeah.
Do you have any space for calisthenics or body weight exercises, pull-up bars, Roman chair for dips, things of that nature?
We have 4 pull-up bars. So we have 3 squat racks built into the wall, each one with a pull-up bar. We have a separate pull-up bar to the side. And then basically what we have right now is like taped off platform areas. So 1 platform underneath each squat rack, and then 2 open platforms, which I'd like to fill with, which are currently open for what you're talking about, body weight stuff, calisthenics, anything like that. But I'd also like to build out a space for like Olympic lifting, like bumper plates, some more barbells, and just general platforms to do the kind of workout that you're talking about.
You have nutritional segments that you teach the kids, or?
In the class, yes.
In the class. Could that be something that we could incorporate in with the health classes? Do they do like body fat analysis?
They do
and,
touch.
Pinch caliper tests and
They
stuff of
do
that nature?
some general nutrition in the classes, but yeah, I think that's certainly something. And actually, right now, they just extended the public comment section for the health and wellness standards for the state. And I think what they're proposing are more robust than the current standards. So a lot of that is addressed there. So looking at how we might implement that and connect it to these opportunities, I think is certainly something. And I wonder too, is even beyond, I think to your question, like beyond the class, if students are using that space frequently, is there some education around nutrition there, not just the weightlifting? So when you're coming in, having those conversations, setting goals, kind of things like that, I think could be another important layer of that work.
Yeah, I think this is fantastic. So if we just get an outlay of what you need and the associated costs, we should, well, I shouldn't say we, but I would be fully supportive of this.
Awesome.
Great. And we can certainly come back, I can bring more information as we start to flesh this out a little bit more.
Great.
Again, the one school committee specific item is because the budget had the yoga stipend, and that is not being filled right now. Ms. Jordan would propose shifting that to the use for this space for these intentions. And again, whether it be a full stipend or used to be for hourly employees over that time, so it's covered and it's safe.
So our agenda does say discussion, so
Yep.
we can't vote on the
So-
stipend for right now. So
Yep.
let's put it for next week.
Perfect.
Have some additional information, the amount of the stipend, and we'll bring it up for a vote for next week. But like Mike said, I'm really excited about this. It's a nice thing that we can do to add for the students, especially since there's already so much interest and it's not even all the way there yet, which is great.
Yeah, I'm very grateful that you guys are supportive. Thank you very much. And if you need me to come in next week for more questions too, I'm happy to do that.
Great.
Do you mind just letting us know, just for anyone watching, when is it currently open and available for students?
Yeah, so I'm in there Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, anytime we don't have a department meeting, so.
Is it a drop-in thing, or?
Yeah, kids can just come in and out, but our exercise science class is the last block of the day.
Yeah.
So kids also just stay in the class. So anytime anybody wants to come in, any grade, Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
And that's
Hopefully
2 to
Tuesday,
4.
Thursday, Tuesday.
Is it 2 to 4? Sorry.
2 to 3:15. If kids
Okay.
stay, I stay. But if
Yeah.
I have to leave, I tell them 3:15 is kind of the end of
Thank you.
it. Yeah.
Awesome.
And I think we all are recognizing it, the potential for growth and team-specific, individual-specific kind of programs that could be built from this. And it's something that a lot of bigger districts have, certainly, but certainly appreciate Mr. Graney kind of identifying an opportunity and taking it and starting small and being thoughtful about that, and like being thoughtful about how we can grow on it too. I think it's not like, here, come, we're gonna change this whole, like, eventually we might get there, but saying, okay, if we don't have the means, these are our priorities, this is how we can get there. So appreciate the approach, certainly, and commitment, and doing a lot of this stuff on his own time.
Well, I've had a lot of help, and I think it's very important for the kids. I think once the community kind of gets a hold of it, they're going to think so too.
Agreed.
Absolutely, thank you.
Thank you so much. We look forward to seeing you next week, or at least having more information.
Yeah, I'll just talk to you, Steve.
Yep,
Okay, cool.
thank you.
Yeah, should I stick around at all, or are you guys good?
Only if you want to.
You're welcome.
Thank you very
Day as it is. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, Chartwells.
Hello, everybody.
Hi, how are you?
It's been a while.
It's been a little while.
I'll pass out. Pass out. So we're just gonna go over a little review of little financials recap from last year and what we're doing this year, and also some equipment that we've purchased over the past year. Can you guys all see the financial recap? Or I got a bigger one if you need a bigger sheet.
No, it's fine.
Okay. So if you look at the financial recap for last year, it was tough to compare to the year before because there was a lot of COVID stuff happening. So, comparing apples to apples wasn't possible for this. This year will be a lot better because we can compare this year to last year. So last year's total meal counts, we served 140,159 students. I researched the year prior to COVID when we were doing meals free, reduced, paid. We did 99,044 meals. So we did almost 41,000 more meals. Not everybody's free. So that's pretty, pretty crazy.
That's great.
As far as revenue goes, a la carte and adults last year, we had about $14,000 in a la carte and adult sales. State reimbursements was over $500,000. Sales tax is when an adult buys a meal, so that's the sales tax. And then we had special income, which was a supply chain assistance fund that the USDA gave us last year for like $14,000. So our total revenue was over $535,000 last year. As far as expenses go, our food costs, product cost was over $200,000. We had about $50,000 worth of rebates for food rebates, so our total net product cost was $153,000. Personnel was $187,300, and then there's the variable cost, which is training costs, computer, insurance, all the semi-variable costs, uniforms, small wares for kitchen, and then the administrative and the management is the fee, flat fee for Chartwells. So total expenses were $395,000. So our net profit for the district was $140,000. So, with meals being free and high reimbursement rates, we did pretty well.
It's so nice to see that in the green though, isn't it?
Yeah. Now, not everybody knows we have meals for free this upcoming year, and, I guess we're the 8th state that declared free meals going forward. So we're hoping this will be a trend we'll see going forward. So.
Emery would be so proud.
Yes, you would.
Anybody got any questions on the financial piece, or reimbursement rates are pretty much the same as last year. We get $2.73 for breakfast, and we get $4.50 for lunch per meal. So,
Ken, how might so we just received the CEP eligibility, would that impact that?
it really doesn't impact it. It just saves a lot of administrative work on our end. We don't have to do as much as far as claiming. There's just a lot less paperwork involved. That's pretty much the CEP piece.
Is there a different federal reimbursement for a certain percentage based on that, or no?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
I don't believe so.
What did you say lunch was for what?
$4.50. Anybody, any other questions on the financial part? Okay, so what's new for 23-24? Now that everybody's free, we really want to expand on the a la carte menus for both East Meadow and high school, offer, healthy snacks, chips, healthy waters. So that's a point of emphasis we really want to hit this year. Kids still have a bunch of money on their accounts, so we want to kind of get that money from them and just, give them more options, especially in the high school. We know the situation over there, so to get more, healthy snacks and waters, I think will go a long way for the students. As far as student engagement programs, we're going to come up this year with a monthly food focus group. We'd like to, in each school, get some volunteer students from each grade to kind of get together monthly, talk about food, see what they like, what they dislike. We can just talk food. We'll have food for them and just get together once a month and kind of talk food. Thought that would be good to engage the students that way. More action bars at the high school. Seeing that, we're in a very small space and it does get stale for the students. We want to, we've been doing a lot of walk-in taco meals for them, pasta bars where they come up and get what they want. So we're going to really try to focus on that this year for the high school kids. There's also a new program called Global Eats. So we're going to try that in the high school this year where we're going to be doing meals from China, from India, so they can kind of get a taste of, flavors from different countries and kind of go from there. And then the next piece is we're looking at a classroom education piece. We're trying to partner up with UMass so we can get a dietitian or nutrition in the district doing their internship, and they can come in classrooms, do nutrition pieces for classrooms, talking with, what you guys just talked about, we can maybe get that person involved and maybe the sports, having trainings with the sports teams on nutrition and all that stuff. So that's hoping to come like second half of the year in January. So we're excited about that piece.
One question about the à la carte, especially for the high school. I'm wondering if, because a lot of the time for the kids that either stay after for sports, for practice or games or anything, if there would be a way they could get something to take on the bus with them or grab before they leave, like later in the day.
We actually, before COVID, for a year, we did a after-school snack where we had à la carte open for a half hour after school was out, and it just never took off. I mean, it's something we can look at again. Maybe if there's more variety, to keep the kids, you see kids run across the street every day to that store.
Which
so to
scares
capture
me
them.
anyway.
Just, our hands are tied as far as, the healthy snacks. I think they'd rather go over there and get Funyuns than get the baked barbecue chips or, you know what I mean? So it's tough to compete with, so. But that's something we can definitely look at again for this year. Any more questions or anybody?
That just was a selfish question, because I was thinking it would be nice to have Mayor grab something there instead of being like, I need a second
Another
lunch.
snack, right?
Or she brings her lunch from home for
For after school?
Yeah.
So over the past year, like I said, with all this money in the food service account, we've been fortunate enough, we just purchased an ice machine, which definitely benefits the sports teams as well as, the food service. So that was a home run, I thought, with the ice machine. We purchased some pizza, heated warming bags to transport our pizzas from elementary school over to here to keep them nice and hot. We purchased a 16-case milk cooler because we were just short on cooler space, or milk, so we purchased one of those. We're waiting on a double-door upright cooler for the high school because we're just lacking space as far as for cooler space. We purchased some nice warming boxes to transport the hot food from the high school. From here to the high school. They're really durable. They keep the food warm, so that's been a really nice addition. And then we also purchased a heavy-duty warming box at the high school, which really helps keep the food warm. It's been a challenge, so that's been very helpful. So we spent, over $25,000 equipment over the past year, so we're putting our money to good use.
And all of that stuff, when the kitchen finally gets done, it's not gonna, it'll all be able to be.
Yeah.
Right?
Milk
So-
coolers, the double door, absolutely, yep, that warming box, so yeah, it's
And the ice
all
machine
stuff
and
that
all
will
that
be,
stuff, that's awesome.
Exactly what I was
Yep.
gonna say.
so. Anybody got any questions, or?
This is so great, Ken.
Yes, this is,
It's exciting to have the money to be able to do some of this stuff.
Yeah, we're not used to it, so.
That is true. That's very, very true.
But it's just tough, because, East Meadow is a fairly new school, so we really don't need a lot of equipment. And, waiting on what's going on at the high school, we don't want to get too far and purchase too much stuff.
Right.
So, we've been purchasing what we needed, to make that situation better, so, it's been good.
Awesome. Any other questions? Thank you so much
Okay.
for coming in. It was great to see
Thanks
you.
for having me, thank you.
Ken, appreciate it.
Have a good night.
You too.
Good night.
Okay, next, school choice.
So, I know we said we would kind of keep the committee up to date, and there's still a lot of moving parts, but we've kind of had this district practice where the school committee has approved numbers of seats in each grade, and I know we've said before that is not a DESI requirement, but our practice. So in grades 1 and 4, those are two places where we currently have a waiting list for school choice. And in talking to Ms. Desjardins, and kind of looking at our numbers, we'd like to recommend opening up one seat in each grade. It's not much, but we believe that we can make that work. In grade 1, again, there's still a lot of movement, so we don't want to shoot ourselves in the foot or anything. So that's why we're just asking for the one seat for now, because it is the second day of school, and if we're able to offer a seat to somebody on a waiting list, we wouldn't want to wait too long. But we had 6 students in grade 1 unenroll over the summer for a variety of reasons. The enrollment dashboard likely won't come until our meeting on the 19th. It's just so much movement right now. But then we had 5 new students come in, but we're still at 35, so we have a class of 17 and an 18. This would bring us to 18 and 18 at grade 1. We have 8 students on the wait list. We don't think we could bring them all in, although we might come back in a couple of weeks and say, could we open another seat or 2? But we'd be pretty comfortable with 1 seat right now. And in 4th grade, we actually had 2 school choice students withdraw to go back to their home district. So that leaves us at 58 with another potential one that a resident that we heard of. So we're looking to add 1 more seat there. Right now it's 20, 19, and 19 if we open up that seat. And we still feel like that gives us a little bit of movement where if 3 more students came in, we'd still be at 21. That's kind of the 2 grades we felt we had a little bit of movement, and because we had a waiting list, I felt a little bit of urgency to bring it to you all and see if you would support opening a seat in each grade. And if so, we would reach out to those families, notify them, and try to get them in as early as tomorrow. And again, I recognize there might be the potential for another opening or 2 down the road. We just want to be thoughtful about it and not say, open up 4 seats and then all of a sudden have to pull it back. So,
Is this only grades 1 and 4?
only grades.
Okay, sorry, I thought you said something about kindergarten and then I got sidetracked. Okay, so currently grade 1 has how many? Because I tried to look at this.
35.
35.
So adding 1 seat would bring us to 18 and 18. And we have 8 students on the waiting list there. In grade 4, we currently have 58, 20, 19, and 19.
So it'd be 20, 20, and 19.
20, 20, and 19, there's 1 resident. We've been hearing rumors that there might be a resident 4th grader who recently moved in that we're here. So we thought about 2 seats, but we just want to, we're trying to be cautious about it, but also saying we have some space, and if we can let people in sooner than later, I think that would benefit those students.
Any discussion or further questions? I'm okay, personally, I'm okay with it because it's under the threshold that we had established when we were opening the seats because of movement. So if we're keeping it at or under that number, personally, I'm comfortable with it because I feel like it's just it's keeping the trend where we're at, that 60 or under. So to me, I'm fine adjusting that to allow for the, those seats to get the waiting list in. Any other discussion or thoughts?
Nope, I'm fine with it.
Like I said, I think just being cautious about it and doing just the 1
Yeah.
to me is okay, but then, you don't want to go too big because, you drive down the street here, I've got 4 houses being built, and it's just, we don't want to get into too much of a pickle, but
Agreed.
so I think
And I
the
even
1
felt like,
right.
is it silly to go for 1 in each grade, and then they're sitting there's a waiting list in these
Yeah.
2 grades, why not ask?
Right, and it's, be nicer to get them in sooner, rather than
Right.
later. So, do you want us to vote on that, or is
I
it?
think, again, we've had this internal practice, so I think it would be helpful if
Okay.
you voted, just, again, so we can go back and adjust what we've had for openings and all that, so we're consistent.
Okay, I'll take the motion.
So I'll make a motion to increase the school choice in grades 1 and 4 to include 1 additional school choice student in each grade.
I'll second that motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Yeah, and just, we'll have the enrollment dashboard,
I think the
probably
19th.
Okay.
At that meeting, we'll make sure we have it. There's just a lot of moving parts right now.
Sure.
So,
All right, you're up for superintendent's report.
Already so soon.
Yes.
Don't jinx it.
So, yeah, I want to just give a quick update on the transition back in the past 2 days. Even last week, new teachers came back last Tuesday. They were here Tuesday, Wednesday. They had some district meetings. They met their mentors. And then they had some building-based meetings so that they could get acclimated. On Thursday, we kicked things off with our convocation. Jen started things off with a welcome message. We had 2 current students. They presented here before, Faith Ramos and Brenna Moreno. They put together some slides. They had reached out to their friends and peers over the summer just for some ideas on kind of what are the things that their friends, they like to see in the classroom. I just feel like it's a good connection as teachers come back for them to hear from the student perspective of, like, when we have these learning opportunities, it really clicks for me, it works for me. And I thought Faith and Brenna did a good job. They gave themselves a Project 351 plug, as they should, as they're still our representatives for that program. And then variety of training in a new math program, ST Math here. Some shifts, a partnership we now have with the New Teacher Project, TNTP, who they're going to work primarily with our 6th through 8th grade math teachers about supporting the implementation of the illustrative math curriculum that was purchased in the district over the past few years. But TNTP has been great and really said any teacher, K through 12, who's interested in kind of looking at some shifts in instructional practices in mathematics is welcome to attend. So we had teachers attending that. And Friday, we had the Massachusetts Aggression Reduction Center, MARC. They came in and they did a full staff presentation, everybody from our bus drivers to custodians to administrative assistants sat through a bullying prevention training. Some of the feedback I got on that was really positive. I think walking in, people were like, another bullying training, but it was really different look at some things and how, and some information that it's being collected. Mark runs out of Bridgewater State University, and they have some really interesting studies going on around bullying, cyberbullying, the impacts on students, how to approach it as a parent, how to address it as a teacher. I found myself taking notes, like 2-column, like work notes or parent notes. But it was really great, I thought, and well received by the staff. And then Officer Gilly did 51A mandated reporter training and talked a little bit about Alice and our emergency operation plan. So I think we always feel like there's so much to be jammed into those 2 days, but I think the leadership team and the principals and the teachers did a good job of squeezing everything they could out of that time. And I know we're short on time with those things, but I think we tried to be intentional on the topics that we covered, and it was a good start. And then students came back yesterday in grades 1 through 12. It was great to see the buildings alive again. That first day, I think, comes with some angst, but you fall into that routine pretty quickly. So it was a really good start. Do recognize that we have had some transportation issues over the past week. I think a lot of them got worked out from Friday until Sunday evening. We did still have some minor hiccups. I think that is common. That's not specific to Granby. I think busing and changing addresses and students having different routines on day one versus other days and going to Children's First on certain days. I think it's part of the growing pains of getting into a year. Been working with the transportation provider pretty closely and already discussing some steps that we can take next year. We actually might pilot it this week. We have asked them to print out some of the postcards that they've done in other districts, and essentially the postcard would say, go to Stephanie parents and say, you live at this address, your morning bus is this, it will pick you up at this time, your afternoon bus is this, it'll pick you up at this time. Contact the bus company if you have any concerns about it. Our goal would be next year, get those out in late July, early August, give them some time, so then when we post the routes, parents aren't having to look for, is my address here, is it, right? I think that is an easier way for parents, if they're getting that postcard in the mail, to then say like, oh, this doesn't seem right, or this doesn't make sense, and some time for the bus company to work with them to get the situation squared away ahead of time, so when we post it, parents have had a chance to vet it. So already working to have a better process with that. Yeah, that was really the welcome back stuff. We are still hiring for a couple of positions. If people are interested, para positions, we have a nurse posting, a couple others. If people are interested, please feel free to reach out to either building or my office. Happy to point people in the right direction or tap into their skill set. I think we've been pretty creative in ways that we've filled positions with people who are engaging, have some interest in the topics that are available, but they're not all necessarily long-term solutions. So we're going to continue to work at that. It is, I keep saying it is dog eat dog at this time of year, because some of the bigger districts have opportunities and incentives that we just don't and can't. And I think I've learned both in my role as principal and now in this role is that, you know, I don't lead with the money when I talk about the advantages of working in a place like Granby, because there's some balance, there's connections, there's relationships that are more difficult to make in bigger districts, and some challenges here that you may or may not have to deal with in bigger districts and vice versa. So it really comes down to personal preference, but I think the people who come and the people who stay really enjoy working here and being here and working with our staff and students and families, and I think sometimes it just takes getting them in the door for them to realize that. I do want to say thank you to Polish National Credit Union publicly. They provided lunch for all of our staff last Thursday. So they provided a box lunch from Hamill's Catering. They delivered 140 boxes of lunch and soda and water and lemonade on Thursday that we could give to our staff. So we sent them emails thanking them, but I do want to acknowledge that publicly, that they had reached out and offered that to our staff. And then the last thing I have is just a reminder, there is no school this Friday, so our calendar is there's no school for students. This Friday, September 1st, we're also closed for Labor Day, Monday, September 4th, and schools will reopen Tuesday, September 5th. For our students in pre-K through 12. So pre-K and K come back next Tuesday. Looking forward to seeing them.
Excellent. Any questions? All right, you're up.
First thing on Thursday was a walkthrough for the kitchen for engineering drawings and specifications. Those are due September 18th. We'll be using those to put our RFP together for the kitchen project. We had one firm send a representative. They had worked on the roofing project as well, so they were very familiar with our space and some of the needs. So I thought that was encouraging. Again, they had some background knowledge of what they were looking at. So that's putting us on the right track there. We are working on our federal grants, our Title I, our ESSA grants, and IDEA grants are going to be completed by the end of September. And so I'm working with curriculum and pupil services to have those ready to go. We were awarded, we got notification that we were awarded the $3,000 cell phone policy grant. We've the junior senior high school is rolled out its program, the first stages of it, so there'll be some more opportunity for Ms. Jordan and her team to what is the best path to support students in utilizing technology appropriately and focusing in on the classroom. So those are my updates.
Do you have any updates from the lightning strike? Any updates from that electrician that was gonna send in?
Yeah, it wasn't a real comprehensive write-up. It was really, the recommendation was to install surge protectors, so we're kind of looking at other options to see if there's other assessment options, to see if there's anything beyond that. This company felt like having additional surge protectors would be the best to protect against what we've experienced. Good question, because I actually did make some progress today. I spoke to somebody at our the insurance company, and he said it sounds like we're doing everything that they would have recommended. We took care of some of the smaller items, and we're keeping that file separate. The things that we needed to get addressed first and foremost to get the building operational. We did have some larger ticket items that we held off on until we could connect with them. They're going to send somebody out in the next day or two, they said, to assess those specific items and make sure, and if they said they could help us if we didn't have a vendor, but he said, sounds like if you already have quotes, you have a vendor, so that they would approve those things moving forward. But, the gentleman that I spoke to today was very helpful, and it was a step in a positive direction around it.
Any other questions? All right, Jill's not here. So for our next meeting, which is, I think, next week, right? We have a back-to-back, and then we're not again until,
September 5th?
yep, so that's a week from today, and then the next one after that is the 19th. So, should we do, work group meetings on the 5th?
Probably wouldn't be a bad idea, because
We didn't do them really over the summer, so,
what do you think needs to meet?
well, I feel like this is a good time of year for, kind of touch base with all of them.
Mhm.
Do we need to do budget, for this one, or is there, because we don't really start that again until like October-ish or early November, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think maybe in October, Todd is planning to meet with the principals and department heads about like their budget as it currently stands, so he might be able to provide an update if we did the budget committee in October, at an October meeting.
So I think everything else then? Probably not policy though, probably don't need policy, right? Because they just been, you know what,
There's something that I thought of with policy.
we'll put it down, and if we, when it comes to time, if we don't need it or whatever, we can adjust.
Okay.
I
I don't anticipate having a ton of other things, maybe the weight room.
Weight room, yep.
And if anything comes up, we can certainly add it, but it seems like we'd probably go into work groups pretty quickly. Maybe Faith would be here too.
Yeah. If there's nothing else, all right. Then we're going to vote to go into executive session under Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21, Part A3, to discuss strategy with regard to collective bargaining, as doing so in an open session may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining position of the committee. The committee will not return to open session.
Mr. Durham?
Aye.
Ms. Parent?
Aye.
Ms. Bartos?
Aye. Thanks, everybody.